to begin, and we're gonna go into the first few turns after the players are done shuffle and presenting. So it's going to be our control player Dusty on the left against Kate with the Amber Amethyst aggro deck. So definitely the keys for Dusty in this matchup are going to be able to stunt the aggression from Kate in the first few turns of the game. Is he going to be able to find some copies of those one drops from his side to be able to effectively deal with what Kate is doing, or will Kate actually be able to clinch the victory as she has done in the past today? And then play draw is going to be incredibly important for both of these players, so we're going to go ahead and see what is chosen by both, and their mulligans are already on their way. So again, one drops for both of these players are incredibly important. Being able to curve out is especially important for Kate in particular. But again, Dusty looking for those very particular cards. Something like Be Prepared might be a little too slow in most scenarios based on the configuration that Kate has. So just has to understand what he's mulliganing for and be able to acquire it. So we did see in the past cards like Madam Nim and Maui were quite effective at dealing with most of the threats that Kate can produce. But again, Kate can circumvent all of those threats with her own bounce effects. So we're going to get to see if she's able to go ahead and do that, or if Dusty's going to take full control over the game. We do see a couple of copies of Tremaine alongside some other cards from Dusty's side. So does he actually have the ability to produce a 1-drop or a 2-drop in the following turns? And actually, Kate did in fact win the roll, so Kate will be going first. Incredibly important for this blitz aggro strategy, and going to get to see it do. I believe I catch a little bit of a color scheme of Olaf, or could it be something else? It's going to be very important for Dusty to play a card, and he doesn't. So this Lilo is going to go uninteracted with for the beginning of the turn, and on the play, this could spell doom for Dusty as early as turn 1. So let's see what Kate can follow up with. It's going to be a Pinocchio. It's going to be a quest for 2 and 5 questing power on the other side. So Kate definitely opening the 1-2 punch that her deck is known for, and at the same time forcing Dusty to have an answer to the board right now in the form of a 1-2 Lefu. So Lefu going to be able to, over the course of the next few turns, deal with some of the aggression that's happening from the side of Kate. Does Kate have something like a bodyguard Simba in order to deal with any sort of rush aggression from the side of Dusty, or will she actually be able to produce even more questing power? This tap only 1 indicates to me something like a Madam Nim being able to bounce back the Pinocchio and having it able to be used on the following turn. So fantastic opening from the side of Kate, recycling that Pinocchio, a very important card to be activated more than once. In this case, might quest a second time in the future, but for right now, how to best deal with this Lilo and Mim in play from Dusty's side. Definitely might have been in this situation before, so using LeFaux in order to take down the Lilo seems just fine. And how else does he want to produce threats in play moving forward? Does feel like he has to be able to stop almost every single point of lore acquisition from the side of Kate for the rest of the game if he wants to remain relatively in control. But we do know that Kate does have that Pinocchio in hand. So goes ahead and actually utilizes Madam Mim to sing a song, Be Our Guest, and goes ahead and tries to find any sort of pivotal card that she would need in a scenario like this. Something like Arthur comes to mind in this situation, being able to utilize Arthur in combination with the Pinocchio in hand to gain a little bit more advantage. And she actually goes ahead and finds what looked like a LeFaux of her own. We'll get to see what exactly that was. Yep. So goes ahead and adds the very powerful 2-drop to her hand, and then proceeds to ink it. So inks it in favor of most likely another. Oh, so she actually opts to do 4-drop instead and uses Goat. So Goat a little bit better later on in the turn cycle. But again, if she does have ways to bounce cards back and forth with the options that she has in hand, she can use Merlin Goat in order to gain additional points of lore without being able to be interacted with from the side of Dusty. So a great resource to have in this scenario if she actually does have those bounce effects, and before Dusty can get upwards of that 7 ink threshold and have access to be prepared, she doesn't want to cash in something like that Pinocchio that she has in hand. So something like double Pinocchio pass would be incredibly good for Kate right at this moment. Instead, she goes ahead and uses all her ink every turn, which is quite astute of her, and goes ahead and develops a rabbit. So this rabbit and this goat will go ahead and gain lore. And it could be that Kate actually wants to set up a scenario where she forces out something like a Be Prepared on curve on turn 7, and at the same time utilizes a follow up for the Pinocchios and the other high questing power cards in her hand. So maybe this sequencing indicates that she wants to take the game a little bit slower. Could be a consequence of the fact that she had such a good start that she can take her time. But again, Be Prepared is looming as early as 2 turns from now. So when does Kate actually present Pinocchios and Lilos onto the table? This could be the perfect turn to be able to do that. And if this is something like an Arthur, it's actually a fantastic follow-up. She's going to be able to trade with Maui and at the same time go ahead and draw an extra card. Wants to make sure that she keeps the board as clear as possible so that her Lilo and Arthur are able to be utilized to full effect. But something like a Lady Tremaine here is actually going to be quite powerful from the side of Dusty. Kate choosing to get rid of the Lilo. A decent choice considering she can now use the bounce effect of Arthur in order to gain 3 lore and recycle some of the card in her hand. She actually has access, from what we saw, a glimpse of what could be another goat and also another rabbit. So let's see what she prioritizes here. Actually utilizing the utility of the 1-drop Maleficent in order to pay the least amount of ink possible in order to gain the value from the Arthur, and at the same time committing 5 questing power into play, forcing out a Be Prepared from the side of Dusty. And if Dusty doesn't have exactly Be Prepared in this time, and it could be a consequence of Dusty actually mulliganing away some copies of the Be Prepared in anticipation that they might not be fast enough in this matchup. Maybe they are not readily available at this time. So actually, only a Lady Tremaine available at this time, and it's going to mean that this Pinocchio will be able to quest for 3 on the following turn. So good heads-up play from Kate, good trading pattern from Dusty, and both players trying to gain as much advantage as possible. Dusty feels like he is about to gain control of the game if he can survive the next couple of turns, and at the same time, does Kate have enough closing power to end the game? It does feel like her sequencing was actually paid off quite well in deducing that Dusty would not have a Be Prepared available or may not even use it in that scenario, and committing the Maleficent and the Pinocchio in that situation was quite good, and we'll see if that sequencing actually ends up paying off for her. Goes ahead and activates Be Our Guest. Wants to try and find something like an Arthur here. Players are having a bit of a discussion on the choice for the Be Our Guest. just making sure the amount of ink is correct and everything is good to go. And then we'll see George's experience in situations like this will be able to sort anything like this out, making sure that everything resolves as it should. We're going to get to see what the resolution of the judge call eventually is. Has to be some debate with what was picked to be our guest, if I had to guess. And hopefully be resolved soon. Maybe it might be a consequence of where the draw 2 card goes. So if it was misplaced at any moment, it would be reset to the top of the deck, it seems like. And in the finals, obviously, a very stressful situation for both players. Both players want to obviously achieve the victory, and that might cause a little bit of nerves, a little bit of mishandling. And so we want to make sure that everything resolves as it is supposed to. So Kate goes ahead and fully resolves Be Our Guest, which I believe was the debate before she hadn't actually fully used her card and had only seen maybe one card instead of the full amount. So now she resolves her full card correctly and proceeds to try to play the Arthur in place of this Arthur. See if she actually commits to the Arthur, or if finding that Lilo actually changes her line of play. No, so commits to the Arthur fully. And then goes ahead and utilizes Pinocchio to go to 16. And then something like a goat here is actually representing game. So Dusty has to deal with the untapped Arthur in play, or else Arthur in combination with a goat will end this game in a victory for Kate. So let's see if Dusty actually has something like a third Lady Tremaine to be able to stabilize in this situation. And even if he does, is he able to deal with another few questing power cards from the side of Kate on the following turn? So he still needs a whole 2 turns of answers to what Kate is able to do. But it starts with an answer on this turn. And let's see what he's able to cobble together. Does decide to utilize 3. This allows him to actually try to draw into another Lady Tremaine and is able to ink and then use the shifting ability of Tremaine to go into another Tremaine. That would not allow him to gain that much questing power in play, but it would allow him to survive the turn cycle if he does have that play pattern available to him. But unfortunately, he only has a rabbit. So now if a goat happens from the side of Kate, she will be the winner of game 1. So can she present that over, and does she see that line of play? We do see the Cinderella down in play. Do see Pascal played, cashed in order to gain the extra 2. So gonna go upwards of 19, and then going to go ahead and play Lilo, and actually has a rabbit. So a rabbit hopefully will try to draw her into the final point with a goat, for instance. So let's see if Dusty can actually convert a victory here. He does have to deal with the entire side of Kate's board, as any card is actually game, and at the same time has to try to win the game over the next couple of turns. So this indicates to me a Be Prepared might be in the cards for Dusty, as he actually goes full questing, doesn't even bother with the Arthur. And let's see if a Be Prepared is in fact his choice of card. So he does have a Be Prepared in hand, so goes ahead and bins the rest of the cards, making sure to draw an extra card does Kate. Same for Dusty. Dusty goes ahead and goes to 17, and Kate goes to 19. So a goat at this point in time will be game for the side of Kate, and at the same time, any card that survives the turn cycle will also be game for Kate. So get to see if she has the ability to draw a few extra cards in order to find the goat, and she actually does not. So this actually forces out another Be Prepared from the side of Dusty. So Dusty has to balance the use of these Be Prepareds while also finding a way to get the last few points using Maui. And does he actually have something like a one questing power card here? Would be quite instrumental in closing out the game. And he actually does not. So can Kate produce one questing power off of the three cards in hand? You have to suspect that she will be able to, if all is sequenced correctly. Goes ahead and plays, LaFoe plays Dwarf, passes it back to Dusty. And Dusty again needs to have 2 targeted removals, or he will not be able to survive the turn cycle. Or can he find 3 lore out of his hand? It seems unlikely so. Let's see what Dusty can actually produce. A third Be Prepared here would actually be quite powerful, as it would force Kate to have 2 whole cards that she has to play on the following turn, but actually can convert it. Dusty goes down to Kate in game 1. Very incredibly close game, as the 2 Be Prepareds actually almost stabilized the game, but just at 19, anything surviving would be game, and goes ahead and converts the victory, does Kate. So now Kate is only 1 game away from winning the entire tournament, and at the same time, Dusty has to rattle back a 2-0 victory and has to win one of those games on the draw. So let's see if he's actually able to do so. A lot of back and forth in that game. Very good set of plays from the side of Dusty to identify his outs, but again, just fell a little short in game 1, and now has to play a game 2 and hopefully for him a game 3 on the draw. So we'll see if he can convert that. And at the same time, Kate, very exciting moment, only 1 game away from being a Lorcana champion at the Pro Play Tour in Galaxycon. So very exciting moment for both players. You can see the tension in how they're handling their cards very carefully, very deliberately, making sure that nothing goes wrong, just giving themselves the highest chance of winning possible. And we did get to see how powerful Arthur, in combination with some of these 1-drops, is actually being able to gain 3 questing power on a 3-drop just by bouncing back one of the resources in play that already got value. So very powerful card moving forward, and also in combination with something like Rabbit and Goat to have that late game potential as well. So seems to be a decent matchup from the side of Kate, but we have seen that Dusty is able to stabilize off of the back of his early game if he finds it. So choosing to go ahead and pass with nothing in play. So he actually does not have a way to contest this Pascal in the early game. Is quite fortunate for Dusty that Kate actually did not start with something like a Lilo Maleficent, as Pascal does not quest for 2. But again, Kate did find the Maleficent and added a secondary Pascal. So now double Pascal in the face of this Amber Amethyst deck, or this Ruby Amethyst deck, excuse me, is incredibly powerful, as they will gain upwards of 6, 8, or even 10 lore before something like a Be Prepared can go ahead and deal with them. So definitely incredibly good opening from the side of Kate in this matchup specifically, and poised to achieve a victory here in game number 2. But can she convert? Does she actually have enough fuel in order to get all the way there? Goes ahead and plays Fox, recycling the Maleficent, and then uses that safe Fox in order to quest twice with Pascal, and very safely these Pascals now have gained 3 lore, potentially gaining upwards of 3, 5, 7 maybe before something like a Be Prepared can tag them, even 9 in certain scenarios. So definitely very good. Mim Fox is going to be able to trade effectively with, and it's actually bounced back to the hand. So Dusty keeping his resources safe from being able to be traded into with this Nim, and at the same time presenting a 3/3 body in the form of Snake to be able to deal with Fox. So good sequencing from the side of Dusty. And Dusty ever so close to that Lady Tremaine, to the Be Prepared. Being on the play, very important in this scenario. But again, falling a little behind in the face of these Pascals. Pascal is just being instrumental in this scenario. So powerful. Unable to be dealt with through conventional means because of that camouflage. Need to force out single target removal, but again, something like Dragon Breath not played in these control decks anymore as of the beginning of set 2. So tagging one of those Pascal is even harder still. We'll get to see Maui taking down the Fox, and these smaller threats will go ahead and quest for 1 and then pass it back to Kate. Kate only 11 lore away from becoming champion here. Can she actually find a way to close out 1 turn before the Be Prepared with the double Pascal active? Double Pascal will be able to gain 4 more, putting her at 13. With this goat, it will be up to 16. And if she has another card alongside this Maleficent, it will equal the 20. All she has to do is play 1 more 2 questing power card, another Maleficent, and a Lilo. So an insane play from the side of Kate, all in 1 turn. The turn right before, again, she has to deal with the Be Prepared, and Dusty, unable to use Be Prepared in this turn, can't effectively deal with such an onslaught of 1-drops. So it is looking like, barring any anomaly, Kate will actually be champion as soon as the following turn with this configuration of 3 2-power questing 1-drops, and in the form of double Maleficent and Lilo, and fantastic play on that turn from her. So gains 1 more with the goat, does Kate. And then Dusty going ahead and counting up how much would it be, how much does he have to stop, and he actually can't do so. So a 2-0 victory for Kate here, and your champion, an aggressive Amethyst Amber deck piloted by Kate takes down the entire tournament. So it's super exciting to see that. And that concludes the first Rise of the Floodborn tournament for Lorcana, and in great fashion, being able to win the game before Dusty can actually